What is up, everybody? Part 3. Gonna put this thing in there today. But before we do, I already put the rear housing and flywheel and disc in there and everything. I put engine oil in it other than like a gallon. I left it like a gallon down because since this is a new engine, I'm going to prime the oil system. I've got this Melling pressure primer. I think it holds close to a gallon, but you just take the cap off, fill it with engine oil, find oil port. This is where the oil pressure sending unit goes, 1/8" pipe plug. And pressurize it. It's got a tire valve on it. Just pressurize it with air. Open the valve and it'll push. I don't know if you can hear it, but it pushes oil through everything. It's pretty handy. All right, I didn't film putting this in because I'm by myself and there's 3 carpenters working on the outside of the building, working on the tin, and it's pretty darn noisy. But here's how I did it. Just came over the front, and then I used the chain hoist on the bell housing to level it out. Sure, some expert will tell me this is the wrong way of doing it. So once you get it kind of square in here, I had this frame rail on already. You get these 2 bolts lined up with your motor mount. There's like a channel in the frame here that it goes in, sucks in here. And then just use an alignment bar there to get these 2 bolts in. You don't want to tighten these things up yet, because if it's at all crooked, it's going to be a nightmare to put the bolt that goes through here is like freaking this long, goes all the way into the transmission housing. But now that it's sitting in here, I just use a level to get the front housing level, and then I pound in a wedge on this side. Now the forklift and that jack stand are going to hold it up while I take this hoist and I'm going to sling this frame rail. Okay, that's what I was getting at. Just slung that frame rail, lifted it up. Got some bolts lined up. You just want to make sure that you get your motor mount bolt started first. Then just start putting in all your other frame rail bolts. I put blue Loctite on all of them because when I took it apart, some of these were loose and one of these motor mount bolts was missing. And then as long as you put these long pass-through bolts through, then you can torque up the ones that hold this to the bell housing. Just when you get done, you just want to make sure you can still move these, pull them in and out. But I'm going to torque all these up and then put the lines back on for the intercooler, and there's some brackets I can put on. And I got to finish rebuilding the hub on the end of the shaft that goes through here into the transmission. Put that back in. And then we'll take some measurements and get this all square with each other. I'll put an air jack under there so I can easily adjust that up and down. We'll throw a couple dowel pins in. Yeah. But before I let down on the forklift, I'll pound that wedge in. Okay. It's all tightened up. Splitting stands under it. I rebuilt this hub, the bearings in there and the seal. It's more to that than just changing bearings. You gotta press it together a certain way and put shims in there till you get the right preload, like the rolling torque on that shaft. Then this plastic tube that locks into here in the transmission housing, that's where the hydraulic oil feeds oil to them bearings. Got a dowel pin in here and in here. I had to make this one shorter because when it goes, I got to be able to duck it out of there. But now it just comes down to take and measure, get it close, take measurements from both sides, get it squared up, slide it together. Pretty much just got to line up these splines, put a engine turning tool in and turn it by hand, and then this hub just has to slide through that hole. And there's 2 bolts that come from the front and thread into that. What else? I just put all these on and squirted some paint on them. If you're ever in a position on one of these 8.3s to get to these, just change these 4 little sections of coolant hose because it's a pain with it in the tractor. This hook, when you're done using it, you take it off, and then this bracket goes behind it, and then you pivot it down for clearance. You just use 1 bolt in it. And there's a plate right here that locks into some grooves on these coolant fittings. You got to remember that you put that in there to lock them so they can't come out, but this heat shield bracket wraps around and gets bolted on right there too. So luckily I remembered that before it was buried in there. I could slide this back together by myself, but it's the weekend and it's Saturday. Mrs. G's at a birthday party. She's such a slacker. But it's easier if I have her out here too, so you can get on each wheel and push, and somebody can hold the wheel while the other person turns the engine or measures. So I think I'll just wait till tomorrow to push it back together. That way I can get a video out here and free up some space on my phone. Check out that work of art that I had to make today. This little line, I gotta change the rubbers in there, but I'll show you here where that goes. So that line goes from there to the aneroid, senses boost, changes the fueling, and then this new line goes over into the wastegate. And these have a tendency to get like holes rubbed in them or whatnot, or leaks. It'll blow the boost off. And if you have a leak like in this line too here, then it won't sense boost good and it won't fuel it good. So always check those. Somebody will ask, I'm sure, where the splitting stands are from. I don't know if that company's still in business. It was a older gentleman. He was a really nice guy. I got those stands from him and the rear end housing holder. That thing comes in really handy. So that's holding all of it back there, but for fine tuning it, I have that air jack under there for when we get close if I need to lift or lower the back a little bit. I was at the dealer yesterday. These are the shift accumulators. I popped them off and took them to the dealer to have them check the charge on them. They were both just a little bit low, so they charged them up. I just put new O-rings on and put them back in. If you don't have a good charge in them, it'll shift real lazy and sluggish. So that's always a good thing to have checked. No, I think that's about it. I'm waiting on the engine wiring harness from the company that I sent it off to have it all rebuilt. I should have that next week. As soon as I roll this together, I can start hooking all the lines back up and put the new radiator in it. I got a new radiator with it has one extra core in it, so it'll cool better. And I got the delete kit to get rid of the fan clutch, so it's a direct drive, and the fan has one extra blade. So this thing should run nice and cool. But can't really think of anything else. It's pretty much ready to go. So next video, hopefully it'll be running, or the next video may be doing the paint, priming and painting all the red. So stay tuned. Have a good one, everybody.